Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of Paden's Pulpit. This is Season 1, Episode 17. The title of this is Racism is a Mental Defect. I said it. Racism is a mental defect. Most of us have heard of some of the recent acts of racism that is going on in America, all around us. Before I begin going into the subject, March, the month of March, is Mental Health Awareness Month. March is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you want details on Mental Health Awareness Month, you can go on YouTube, I need my glasses, and watch the Paden Perspective podcast. Paden Perspective, this is the Paden Pulpit. The Paden Perspective podcast, Season 2, Episode 11. Season 2, Episode 11. Okay. One of the incidents of racism that kind of affected me a little personally because it dealt with Delaware State University. This past week, one of my grandsons graduated from this historically black institution. Well, the university has filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, asking them to investigate sheriff's deputies in Georgia who stopped a bus carrying members of DSU's lacrosse team and searched their luggage. Supposedly, this happened on April the 20th, so it didn't just happen, but the news has just become highlighted. On April 20th, after matches in Georgia and Florida, team members were riding their bus back to Dover. As a former sports person, you're tired. Sometimes you may not have won, I don't know the results, but you just want to get home. Even if you won, you just want to get home. But they were headed back to Dover, Delaware, when a Liberty County, Georgia deputy pulled them over on I-95. Supposedly, it was because the bus driver was driving in the left lane. It is a violation to drive in the left lane for a bus or a truck. But in them stopping this bus driver for that infraction, they went above and beyond, because then they decided they wanted to search the bus full of college students, most who happened to be black. They went through their luggage, personal items. You can see on there where they're going in pocketbooks, very women, intimate items. They had the dogs go through. They made rude, snide comments. This would not have happened if it was a whites on that bus. That's racism. I won't go into the details anymore of that, but that's abominable. That's one of their words, or your words, or whose words, abominable behavior. But it is also racist. Then, in Buffalo, New York, upscale city in New York, Buffalo, an 18-year-old white young man, he attacked in a local grocery store with a semi-automatic assault rifle. This rifle is meant to kill. You can probably kill an elephant with these type rifles. And while he was using this rifle, he went into the store, he shouted racial slurs, and he ended up murdering 10 innocent people during the massacre. Luckily, there was a security guard whose heroism, even though he died, saved many people's lives because he probably would have killed more. Get this, he even had a racial slur written on his rifle. It's like me with my pen having cracker, which is a racial slur. Lord have mercy. What's wrong with these people? I'll tell you what's wrong with them. The suspect, before I get into me telling you this, the suspect drove 200 miles. Before he did this act, he cased the place. He came down and scouted what he was going to do. He wrote what is called a manifesto of hundreds and hundreds of pages. I went to college. Hundreds and hundreds of pages. That's a lot of pages of writing. Theses are done in hundreds and hundreds. Come on, man. Oh, FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, has statistics to say hate crime has spiked to a 12-year high. Racism, Harry Paden, surmises that racism is a mental defect. What is racism, you ask? Racism is a broad term, and it describes the combination of race-based prejudice and power. Without power, one person or group that has power over another, without power, racism is just prejudice. If I don't like you because you're black, and I have no power over you, that's not racism, that's prejudice. But if I don't give you a job based on not liking you, that's racism. The power I have, I'm using it against you. Let me give you some forms of racism. Systematic structural racism. That racism has three components. It has history, means that it goes back. It has culture and institutions. Historical racism provides the framework for current racism. In other words, racism that has been done before, people will do again because their parents don't like black people, so they don't like historical part of it. Any part of this racism is part of a racist culture. America has a racist culture. Some will try to say, no, we don't. Not true. This culture is ever present in our day-to-day lives. You have to be black. Some white people will say, well, no, it's not that bad out there. You'll never know because you're not black. But it happens in the day-to-day life. You go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you go to the opera. Yes, we go to the opera. You go to various places, and that's when sometimes you'll see the racism, the power someone has that they'll try to use against you. Interpersonal racism, one-on-one. It's where you confront someone and they call you the N-word for no good reason. Maybe you got their parking space. Maybe they just don't like you. Interpersonal racism. Institutional racism. Institutional racism occurs within and between institutions, colleges, stores, the unfair discriminatory actions when you walk in. I went overseas, went through China, had no problems. I came back to JFK Airport, had forgot a gift, went into the gift shop, and I noticed this little chica, white woman, following me. I promptly walked out because my money's not welcome there. I wasn't going to steal anything, but apparently she thought I was. That's racism. If I was white, she wouldn't have followed me. Institutions within individuals within institutions that take on that kind of power, they're doing it on behalf of the institution. In other words, she worked at the store, so the fact that she was doing that racism was put upon her company, the gift shop. I put it to you, JFK gift shop. I didn't say Melissa. I said her actions are bound upon them. And then the final one, there's several others, but the final one, internalized racism, is what we see for that young man. Only 18 years old, and he has so much hate for only 18 years old. Only 18 years old. Internalized racism. That's when white supremacy affects the minds of certain people to the point where they begin to believe that they are superior because of their race. They believe it. They actually believe they're superior just because of their race, skin color. Whew. This can sometimes lead to interracial hostility. Every time they see a black person, yeah, what are you doing? Why are you in front of me? Why do you have a nice car? Why do you have a nice job? Because they believe they're superior. They want us to be inferior. They don't want us to have cars. They don't want us to have nice homes. They don't want us to be intelligent. So they think because they think they're superior, we're supposed to be inferior. And it infuriates them now because the world is so different. I tell people all the time, I am intelligent. And some people, they get taken aback by that. I'm a black man that's intelligent. I am intelligent. I went to college. My children went to college. I have grandchildren going to college. And that makes some white people really, really mad. That's a form of racism. Why shouldn't our children do the same thing and have the same benefits as your children? But some of them believe that they should do it. We should serve them. Those were the old days. They got by with that. But even in that, our adversity helped us survive. Read some of my books and it'll tell you why. The American Psychiatric Association has never officially recognized extreme racism as extreme racism as opposed to ordinary race or prejudice as a mental health problem. It's not a problem. This guy's he has no mental problems. He just shot up 10 people, where he shot up more. I'm mental one with him. That's the American Psychiatric Association. 30 years ago, a group of black psychiatrists sought to have extreme bigotry classified as a mental disorder. The American Psychiatric Association officials rejected that recommendation, and they argued that because so many Americans are racist, even extreme racism in this country is normal. It's not a mental deficit. Everybody's racist. It's a cultural problem rather than an indication of psychopathology. That's a big word that means mental or behavioral disorder. They simply said it does not include racism, prejudice, or bigotry. Can't be mentally insane because of that. Can't be. I guess you can guess the color of most of those psychiatrists that made that decision. To continue perceiving extreme racism as normal and not pathological is to give it legitimacy. They can't say that boy's crazy, so he's normal. See what I'm saying? Society thinks that's normal. Oh, he just had a hard life. Don't blame him. It's normal. Clearly, anyone who wants to scapegoat a whole group of people and wants to have a reason for these actions to continue to happen will view this or take this view that racism is not a mental health problem. But it is time that clinicians need to do the right thing. They need to designate extreme racism as a mental health defect and recognize delusional, psychotic, systematic behavior like that young man, like those cops who got on the bus and decided to search the bus. Oh, they must have drugs in here. Something's wrong with these people, and it's time that we recognize it. Malcolm X said, and they vilified him for it. Harry Paden said it, vilified me. Clinicians need guidelines for recognizing delusional racism in all its forms. Some, black people are sometimes racist. But remember that, important, you have to have power. So that means that I'm black and a white person comes in there and says, I don't serve you kind in here. That's racist. But if I'm black and simply say I don't like white people, that's prejudice. Harry Paden knows what he's talking about. Okay. Otherwise, extreme delusional racists will continue to fall through the cracks of the mental health system. And we can expect more of them to explode. You will not replace me. That's what they said. That's what he said. You've already been replaced. Get over it. Work harder. Go to school. You're so superior. Thank you, guys. It's hard to do these things because I'm angry. I'm angry because maybe in my mental illness, I would like to do a complete reverse and say, how does this feel when it's done to you? But being a superior being, I know there's a man that will take care of those who are mentally defective. Racism is a mental defect. I said it. Racism is a mental defect. To God be the glory.